Summer's here and the time is definitely right for the Black Caps. After a thrilling, compelling calendar year, Dunedin's University Oval welcomes them home to take on a familiar foe with a slightly unfamiliar look. It's New Zealand against Sri Lanka, day one. And news from the toss. Angelo Matthews, the visitors, have won the toss. They will bowl first at the New Zealand side, which includes one change, big change it is too, from the Adelaide day-night test, where Neil Wagner comes in for his Otago teammate and Mark Craig, and that means Mitchell Santner carries the spin bowling duties. Otherwise, the side looks the same for Sri Lanka. A number of new names in there and some familiar ones as well. When you look at Chandamal and Matthews and Hirath and Lakmal, they're names we've known in the past, but there's others there that will be facing the music later on, and particularly in terms of the batting, who's going to replace Jay Awardner and Sangakkara. Let's get upstairs for the first ball of this intriguing test match. Waiting for us here, Craig Cumming, Russell Arnold and Mark Richardson.
Thank you, Ian. Having Smithy just told us who the players are, let's have a look at the third factor, being the umpires, Kittleborough and Nigel Long. This is a nervous moment, I'd say, for Martin Guptill. He'll have to bat in what won't be the easiest conditions of this test match, after needing a score under his belt. And Latham, who I thought looked very, very good in Australia, looked very promising. He's taken the opportunities afforded to him to start out on the front foot when it comes to his test match career. Saranga Lakmal, who should enjoy these conditions. Not an express bowler, but does hit the seam. Looks like the sort of bowler that should be a handful in New Zealand conditions and will relish. Here we go. First ball of this test series. Right on the money.
And not falling over. Because if you remember last year, very first ball from both ends, the bowlers took a tumble.
Well, you can see he's been fairly diligent with scratching away at the surface here. So where his feet do land, he's got something to grip on too. Yeah, you slide on, you fall over, you lose your confidence running into to bowl. It's about getting into a good balanced position to deliver that delivery. So they've learnt from last year. And a good stride forward first ball as well for Guptill. Showed good technique. A little bit of movement through the air. The feeling is that this ground is very much like an English ground, and in terms of the ball moving in the air and off the pitch, it's often to do with the poorer days here, the overcast days, the cold days is when it starts to do stuff. On nice, warm, sunny days like this, then it's more in the batsman's favour.
Isn't that against the theory here in New Zealand? It's always under the impression the New Zealand bowlers loved it when the sun was out, and they'd move that ball a lot more.
Yeah, certainly I always tend to feel in New Zealand conditions when it's nice and sunny and still and a beautiful day, then the swing bowlers do tend to enjoy conditions more. But this has always just been one that's been slightly out of the box. I see Craig Cumming beside us here. He's a local. He's nodding away. That's often how it does play. He's been a captain here, of course. Captain many games of cricket out on this park.
Wait on!
It's a good start by Lakmal.
Yeah, it's also important, Mark, to know that it's reclaimed land here. It used to be a lake. So I always felt that when the overcast conditions or the sun wasn't out, you felt like the moisture come into the ground, even the outfield. Sometimes, if you wake up in the morning, first day, and it's overcast and you lose a toss, it'll do plenty. I think it's improved since then. But I just noticed in the pitch report, it's not rock hard on top just yet. You don't expect that on day one. But there is a thick covering of grass. The question with that grass is, will the ball skid off it and create pace, or will it grab in it? Normally, in Kakanui soil, which is what this block is made out of, the ball will seem if the ball's able to grab a hold of the soil. But the grass covering's there to protect it, so it skids off. And if it's young grass, and it is young grass, 10 weeks old, it should create pace. So while there might be a little bit of swing, to me it's whether there's a seam. That's what will cause the problem.
Yeah, it's known as the type of soil that needs a lot of grass. Can handle a lot of grass. Made Nova to start the test match.
Nuwan Pradeep to open the bowling for the Sri Lankans. He's been a regular in the Sri Lankan team. The bowler who's been opening the attack with Dhammika Prasad, who's a big miss.
First runs. First up for Latham as well. A little bit of a misfield, allowing him that. Well, they're damn near locals now, aren't they, Sri Lanka? They're here enough. Experienced New Zealand conditions enough over the last few years.
Now he's someone who knows those conditions. Dimut Karnaratna, 152 when following on at the Hagley, batted really well. He's been one of Sri Lanka's leading run scorers throughout this year.
Good shot. Nice shot down the ground. Short boundaries here, straight. Even paced. Don't think it's going to go for four. Is it? Yes, just makes it. So Guptill underway with a very nice off drive.
Oh, good to watch. Didn't look to hit it too hard. Again, the scramble seam, jack back into Guptill, but the stride was there. Rather than going hard at it, he's trusting his hands.
Pradeep scrambling the seam like that, that's got to be a concern for his opening bowler at the other end. And Lakmal, who's shown that he's getting a little bit of swing. He doesn't want the ball roughed up. Good single as well. That's important. Every time you defend that ball in front of the body, there's always a chance of one.
Martin Guptill's looking good. First over, he strong defensively. The key with Martin Guptill, even with that drive, was his hands didn't come inside the ball or across the ball, cut the ball, went through it. And even there, strong defence, get off strike. He's looking confident.
That's the way to do it. Keep it simple, keep the scoreboard moving with those quick singles, because it'll add pressure on the bowlers. They have to adjust every time. Left hand, right hand. Combination in. And it'll frustrate the opposition. It's 7 for no loss.
Drives again. What a shot. Don't bother running for that one. Shot of authority. Simple and excellent. It's 11 without loss.
Well, it's very uncomplicated. Stands nice and still, just punches. It's like a wee rock. Ball rebounds off. Just punches through. One thing that impressed me in Australia was the angles that Tom Latham played. Very good at defending the ball back towards the bowler. That's about 6 stump outside off stump, but he's still hitting it through mid-off.
Oh, another good shot down the ground. This time it's Guptill.
You can't blame the bowlers for trying to be fuller. You have to give that ball a chance to swing. But unfortunately, they're not getting it to move through the air. That's a lot to do with the presentation of the seam.
It's that one there. That's a good shot, though. He's played that one well, but often it's the straight one like that that causes him issues. Not today yet.
Just looking to punch it through. So much calmer. That's why his hands are working well.
You could just see, though, with this shot, though, Rusty, couldn't you, how he had to pull that front foot away, and that's what causes him the issues. His front foot, you watch it'll go a little bit off, and he's got to pull it back to get at the ball. And now that is what causes him putting that front foot too far in line with the ball. That causes him all the issues with LBW. Clipped away. Good shot. Got one on his legs, and it got the treatment first time.
The mistake any bowler makes, or every bowler makes. The ball moved away considerably the previous one, but it was way outside off stump. He's looking to make the adjustment and strays on the pads.
He's tried to bowl the perfect one, didn't he? Ah, this is a good start by the New Zealanders now. Scoring it over 5s. Oh, that's a goodie in. Leave. 26 without loss. We'll take those. That flew. It was very short, but that has gone through with some good pace. 4 byes.
I was waiting for a bouncer just to push the opener back. It was very high for a start, but it kept going.
He's got to find the right length. That's where you need to pitch the ball if you want to get it up around that chest height in the subcontinent. But with so much grass, you can't bowl that shot.
It's backed up with that. That's a very good reply from Latham. So he wasn't forced back on the back foot by the short one. 34 without loss. Outside edge, 4 more. More frustration now for the Sri Lankans. Finally, they find the outside edge. It costs them another boundary.
Yeah, but you don't mind that. It's the edge. But in the 6 overs prior to that, it's not even gone past the edge. They've left it well, driven down the ground. Tried to bowl a bouncer which went over the wicket-keeper's head. Not a great feeling when that happens.
Oh, that's beautifully played. That really is sweet timing. And Martin Guptill is getting some good stuff here to get the confidence going. That was beautifully placed. And Guptill at his elegant best.
Yeah, just beautiful weight. Kept his head nice and still, straight onto leg stump, and it was easy pickings for a man in form. And hopefully he's quickly getting there. Had a tough time in Australia, but he's off to a great start today.
It's good stuff. This from Matthews. It's probing. It's only up 120k, but it's asking. You can see Guptill's uncertainty. You see a shot like that where he's sort of hovering crease bound. He wants to get forward. He wants to get the drive out, but you can just sort of see he's caught in no man's land here a wee bit, and it's a little bit of swing, and he's probing away at it. It's a delivery. He doesn't want to play. He ends up playing, but there's no certainty there, is there? And Matthews knows it. Follows it up with that, and Guptill is lucky. It's turned for Martin Guptill. You sense things might be working in his favour, and he'll get a couple here as Latham slips at the non-striker's end.
Yeah, and I think that's why Matthews is going to be the most challenging for these two. He's just got it shaping away from the right-hander, and he's bowling in good areas. This was a tad fuller. Guptill just pushing through a little bit too early. Unfortunately, didn't carry all the way to that man and ended up with 2. But it's great areas by Matthews. Important little period for New Zealand just to get through this.
Oh, nicely punches that through. Up on his toes, Tom Latham. Took a long time to get back. There was a bit of a stutter, Martin Guptill.
Well, he's dived, and just looking from here, our commentary position out onto the ground, which is not the ideal, but it looked to me like Guptill has got back. Now, the issue that batsmen sometimes have when they're diving is the bat in the air? Has it bounced off the surface and got in the air? Because often as you push the handle down, the actual blade of the bat can get off the ground, in which case it can be out. So has he made the distance first? Yes, he's made the distance. He's just got it, and he's done well to keep the bat on the ground as well.
That's a great dive by Martin Guptill.
Oh, it certainly was. He knew he was in trouble. He slipped. And he used his reach really well. Look at how far out he decides to dive. Keeps that elbow off the ground. That helps keep the bat on the ground.
Yeah, it is, but it's that point that first of all, the bat gets slid on the leading toe edge. And then when the hand and the handle goes down, often the blade will lift off the ground, and that's when you can get in some real trouble.
Well, it helps having a lot of grass on the pitch because you can slide.
Oh, should have done better. There was width. It's 52 for no loss. Lovely clip off the pads. He's so good at waiting for that ball to come into his zones, Tom Latham.
You like this. When you're a left-handed opening batsman, you like this. When you're a former left-handed opening batsman watching one, you like it even more, because that's where you're meant to score. You're meant to wait till the bowlers get close to you. They try to bowl you out. They bowl at the stumps and you whack them through mid-wicket. And when you time it and hit it for 4 rather than maybe mistime it for 1 or 2, gee, it's good.
Now, if he had hit that in the air in that direction, we would have called it hit to cover corner. But you don't say it when it's along the ground. Got him. His chip on back. Suranga Lakmal manages to hang on.
Oh, what a disappointing way to get out this is. After just hitting one through mid-wicket, he gets the next delivery, which is probably just a little bit straighter. And see the bat slides across it, and he makes a mistake and offers what really is as simple as you get when it comes to caught and bowls. A disappointing way for Latham's innings to come to an end. He's done so much hard work, and he's got to go for just a start. He's out for 22. It's 56 for 1.
Kane Williamson. He's at the non-striker's end because it was the end of the over. Martin Guptill gets an early call of no this time. Was thinking about 2 there.
Tom Latham, he's uncomplicated. He stood up very tall on the ball. Look at disappointment. Lucknow gave it a juggle, but didn't really transfer through it, and the bat was weak. The hands were weak, which means he hit it in the air.
Just got the impression it held up a little bit in the pitch, and you'd expect that when there's so much grass that the ball doesn't come on as quickly as you would expect it to. On his way straight away. Angled onto the pads. You can see the confidence straight away. Soft hands. Just helping it's on its way.
Well, bread and butter for a player like Williamson. Balance is the key. Just uses the ball. No matter how good you are, you always enjoy getting off the mark.
Edge flies through. It's a few chances here and there. Bit of luck. That's what the Sri Lankans need at this stage. It's 65 for 1.
Now bounce here by Lucknow. Guptill went to play that shot again. Just pushed his hands. Thick outside edge. There's a chance. Slightly closer. There's enough happening for Sri Lanka to keep interested. Lucknow's doing a good job.
Yeah, it probably wasn't quite short enough or enough width to force off the back foot.
It's a big workload for 3 bowlers, but first session, Herath can come in later in the day to start making it up.
Lovely punch. Been waiting for it to come. Guptill slips, but doesn't matter.
This is becoming a Williamson signature shot. Gets high, the hands are very high, plays it late. It's a shot in Australia that got him so many runs. It can be judged to be a little bit high risk early in your innings.
Not when you hit it right smack in the middle of the bat.
Rides the bounce well. Off his toes. That was asking to be hit. Plenty of width.
Well, this is more of a classic late cut, really, isn't it? A dab, too much width, didn't really bounce, so he stays down on it, hits down, dabs it behind square. Just classic stuff, isn't it? It's classic old school batting in the modern day.
That's not good enough. It's just too slow and too wide at that pace. Easy for Guptill.
The first real bad ball from Angelo Matthews in either spell. Short and wide, Martin Guptill. What we do know is he has a lot of power. And he just had to make sure he found the gap. And point and cover, didn't move a lot. Great stroke.
Oh, that's great placement. And another bad ball goes punished from Matthews in the over. You simply cannot bowl there to Kane Williamson. 84 for 1.
He's just got so much time. It's just a little bit wide and he just eases it into the gap. Just with limited fuss. Great footwork. Watched it all the way onto the bat. Great technique. And it just raced away to the boundary.
Crunch! Wow, what a shot. They are being peppered behind point at the moment, Sri Lanka. It's not good enough.
Well, it doesn't matter how quick you're bowling. That one, 141. If you're going to bowl short and wide, then you are expecting the ball to come off at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And it did. Again, fieldsmen just have to turn around, run to the boundary and pick it up. So the good start continues, even though right off the bottom of the bat. 88 for 1. Yes, the disadvantage of bowling at that pace. If you get a good swing, as Guptill there, even if you don't hit it near the middle of the bat, it's still going to race away. And both these players, if they get width, they'll be taking full toll.
This time is even better off the front foot. That is a glorious drive. Too short, too full, and ominous signs. There's a happy camp watching.
Well, once again, fieldsman just turning around and chasing. Always a sign a player is starting to find his form when he is able to play off both front and back foot. This time a good stride, and the balance perfect, and the timing even better.
It's a fantastic facility for undercover sport and entertainment. More luck for Guptill, but it's going to be 50 for Martin Guptill. It was a bit streaky, but he's played some glorious shots, and that'll mean a lot to him on this first morning.
Yeah, that it will. By and large, a good innings. A man under pressure. It's been talked about how he needs to score runs. Tough tour of Australia, but bringing up what is a good 50, but having been asked to bat first in difficult conditions, you can see again going hard at it. Matthews disappointed, but he's certainly doing the job for his skipper.
Bottom edge. Still sensed that he was in control of it. Kane Williamson, that's 100 up for New Zealand here on the first morning with that boundary.
Short and wide again though, wasn't it? Oh, Kane Williamson looked straight down at his bat afterwards. It's in the gap. A little bit of bounce over the slip cordon. Saw one in the last over two. Martin Guptill hit one off the toe. But in that situation, the way he's scoring runs, he's obviously got a good bat. There could be a little bit of sustained short pitch bowling here, just to test him out, which I'm sure he'll handle well.
Up, over, and for more. Not quite so in control of that one, Kane Williamson. He rehearses the shot again, but this is too wide from young Chimera. Cannot bowl in these zones. Yeah, not quite as in control, but he knows there's a man back. There's a big gap, third man, and he's happy if it's short and wide to take it on, because if he knows if he gets any amount of bat on, it's going to fly away. Williamson says, even if it's the last ball, I'll grab a couple, thanks very much. So plenty for Sri Lanka to mull over during the next 40 minutes, as New Zealand have clearly dominated this first session. Good story for Martin Guptill, under pressure, needing a score, has got one in the making here. He's 53 not out at lunch, and Williamson looking as good as ever, 32 from just 33 deliveries with a strike rate of 97. Those are the two players that will come out again after lunch. Satisfying to the tune of 1 for 114 in 126 minutes off the 27 overs, and the run rate very, very acceptable by test match standards, in excess of 4. Still Taylor, McCullum, Santner, Watling and Bracewell particularly to come with bat in hand. So this bowling attack have got a lot of hard work to do when they break this partnership after lunch. They've got more to come. So Luckmal, Pradeep Matthews, Chamira and Harath, it's they that have the onus on them. New Zealand's morning here in Dunedin.
Well, I think that Sri Lankans will be disappointed in the respect that it's Angelo Matthews who's the most destructive. And he's their main batsman, and you just fear that all this work will affect that batting. But it's Luckmal.
That was noticeable at the end of that first session. Also the amount of width they're starting to give Williamson, along with Guptill, allowing them to play the cut shots. Chamira was a little bit erratic, good pace.
Pull shot early on, and he's got that well as too. He's got in front of square, and he'll pick up 4. It's a good positive start for Williamson.
Well, for a minute here, I thought it got onto him a little bit quicker than he thought, and he had to hurriedly sort of swing those wrists through the ball, but his timing's so good. And no man out there on the leg side. The square leg's about 10 metres in front. Disappointment from Luckmal.
It should go for 4. It was too wide. Too easy to put away through there. 127 for 1.
Another typical over, really, isn't it, from the Sri Lankans? 4 or 5 good deliveries, and then the boundary delivery. 22 boundaries in 29 overs. Short and wide. And Guptill's put those away all day so far. Moves on to 60. Good shot from Guptill again. Short. Another short ball for 4.
Yeah, this is the problem they've got with this plan as well, which both bowlers are operating to, is if they get too straight, the pitch has enough bounce, but it's an easy-paced bounce, but a reliable bounce that anyone who can play the pull shot will relish it and should be able to play it very well.
Wait on.
Oh, no, that's not good. That's not good. Going to support the bowler better than that. That was the right line in length. 135 for 1.
Quick look at the replay. Just that in-between bounce, wasn't it? Tried to get the body in behind it.
And Williamson just edges it, or runs it down to third man. Straight between the two gullies.
That's that one again. A late cut, there's a man back for that, but he's a lot squarer. Just knocks it on its head. It's taken the mickey a little bit, isn't it? There's 2 gullies in place, right in between both of them. Not a bad delivery, perhaps a little bit wide, if anything.
Played that so well. It's hard to say that was an error, a mistake in any way. He'll have another go. It'll be partially stopped. He'll pick up 50. Oh, 50 from just 53 deliveries. 145 for 1.
Pretty impressive innings again. best part of that is that he does not look like he is breaking a sweat. It's just accumulating, putting the bad ball away, and he's almost at a run of ball.
Just looking very easy out there right now. 146 for 1. Oh, hasn't timed it well enough and had the elevation. Positive stuff from Guptill. He doesn't want her at the settle.
Using his feet, Martin Guptill. It's a sign of confidence. Won't be a lot of turn. Didn't get it as well as he'd like. Straight away, though, looking to hit the sight screen nice and straight.
It's a small statement as well.
Oh, yes, very good ball, Rangana.
Oh, interesting. You talk about getting negative early. Angelo Matthews long on and long off back after one shot. So it makes Martin Guptill's decision to come down the wicket an even better one, because now he's opened up his singles options and he can just keep punching it down the ground and turning the strike over.
Williamson uses his feet and runs on the shot. Would have been comfortably home.
Yep.
7 off the Harath over. Pretty simple for the New Zealanders. 153 for 1.
Four. Too tight. Right on the pads, and good batsmen just deflect them, don't they?
He's a good player around his pads, good player anywhere, Kane Williamson, but it's not very often that he'll miss out on free opportunities. And so that's a 100 partnership up now between these two players, and double quick time. Just cannot afford to stray there. And this over has been symptomatic of the whole bowling performance. 2 or 3 really good deliveries that test batsmen, and then you get them off the hook with a poor delivery.
Chamira doesn't get the decision in his favour.
Well, I might look at this one. You asked them to review the last one, but I think the bowler and the keeper have both decided the ball might have been passing down leg side.
My first reaction was that it was leg side-ish. I think the height was maybe an issue, but it definitely looked leg side-ish, and I think that's what they've decided. When the bowler says that, normally a pretty good indication.
But they've created something, the Sri Lankans. The field set for short pitch bowling. It wasn't all that short, but Guptill has gone nowhere. That's what it can do to a batsman. Chamira catching Guptill on the back foot. Crashing in.
Well, they'll be kicking themselves tonight.
Beautifully played. Sat back. One that was not all that short.
Yeah, that's good batting. He's taken those 2 players out of the equation on the drive, so he's just sat back and waited, Martin Guptill, for something like that, something as shorter and wider that he could deal to, and that really was slow. Such a slow delivery, just 74 Ks compared to 87 and 80 odd the one before.
The shimmy down, he took that stride down the wicket.
Oh!
And Herath countered it by slowing it down and dropping it slightly shorter.
Well, that's an interesting stat, isn't it? 1 wicket to equal the great Muralitharan for most wickets against New Zealand. Oh, little outside edge. Is it down the leg side? No, there was some noise there. And they're not going to review it. So not the right sort of noise.
Snuck down leg side. Focusing definitely off the pad.
Good shot. Splits the gap. It wasn't very big. Just eases it through extra cover for 4.
Well, Craig Cummings said he loves batting, and he does have his own personal rule that he says he hits balls every day. And that keeps him in form for shots just like that. Fieldsman at mid-off, no chance really. Good balance again, still at the time of contact. Another boundary.
Well bowled. Very well bowled. It's running in hard here, Chameera. He's got good pace.
Yeah, they call that squaring up, don't they, Scotty? And yeah, I think if your back foot squares up on your back foot defence, it's not too much of an issue unless what's happening is your bat is also coming across. It forces your bat to come from point. It's got high on Guptill then, didn't it? Got uncomfortable, but he was able to angle the bat so it went down. Ooh, a little bit of glove in it as well. Just the angle he held the bat on there was unlikely to go anywhere but down. This time he goes after a pull shot, doesn't get it at all well. Falls into open spaces. This is good, a little bit of aggression here.
Yeah, it's impressive, isn't he, in this spell? I wondered about that second spell earlier in the day, but he's just still up in the 140s. That one just under 144. Good short ball. On to Guptill quickly. And all of a sudden, New Zealand, for the first time in this match, under a little bit of pressure. The last 5 overs, only 2.8 runs an over. That's because Chameera and Harath are bowling well together. Good indication there of how quickly it is on to Guptill.
Williamson gets hold of it and gets it in front of square. That's nicely played. There was a man out there, but he was behind square.
Yeah, he hit this a little bit better, I think, than we all thought. And long way in front of square. No, he got that nicely when you look at that replay. Nice and early. Again, opening those hips up. Partnership now 132.
$188 for 1. Starts with a half volley and gets the treatment.
Oh, the good work Chameera did. Lakmal unable to back him up straight away. A long half volley, 133 kilometres an hour. Guptill didn't get all of it, but Manon's quite close. It's good placement.
95 now for Martin Guptill. If he can get there, Martin Guptill, this will be a very welcome century. Not that all of them aren't. He's had 2 of them. That was one against Zimbabwe, one against Bangladesh. He will value this one. Came into this match under a little bit of pressure, needing a score.
Yeah, come back.
He's come back, and they will come back quite easily.
No.
97. One of the rare edges from Guptill. Oh! 99.
Well, I think it's good batting too, because he just took a little bit of time between those last two deliveries, realised that Herath was getting quicker and quicker, and he just wanted to slow his mental processes. And then straight down the ground for a single.
Yeah, quicker and quicker you mean in terms of getting back and bowling the next one, not through the air, not the pace he was bowling. It's good playing for that, a bowler like Herath doing that every so often. Means the batsman just has to change his pre-ball routine.
Oh, ball lăn gaya. Yeah.
Oh, Williamson takes one final ball of the over to keep the strike and leave Guptill on 99. 200 up now for New Zealand, 200 for one.
Just into a gap there, which will bring Martin Guptill on strike.
For the last ball of the over, which is just to add to the nerves, one opportunity.
Well, for Kane Williamson, it's just batting. You just bat and we see what we can get, and we treat each ball on its merits. And if I face it or if you face it, so be it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you are or the situation of the game. Keep the distractions out.
99. It's a through a gap for four. Glorious shot for Martin Guptill to bring up Test 100 number 3, and that will feel so good.
It's relief, isn't it? The celebrations tell the story. As you mentioned, it's been a long time. Hence, relief to get there, but it's been a quality knock. Seen some wonderful shots from Martin Guptill from the word go. 205 for one.
Just beautifully. Sweet music there for Martin Guptill, and one of the most poignant shots there was that of the batting coach, Craig McMillan, and the selector coach in Mike Hesson, who have stayed with this fellow, have persevered, and they said, okay, Australia wasn't great, we believe in you. His average suggests that it hasn't been good. Just fantastic for Martin Guptill, it really is. Works very hard at his game. Test debut for Yadara Jayasundara, his first delivery in Test cricket coming.
You've been around first-class cricket in Sri Lanka for a while, primarily in the team as a batsman. He'll bat at number 3. Not sure. We've never seen him before.
Too short, too wide, and Williamson's marching towards yet another one for himself.
Another great shot from Williamson. Can't afford to be short and wide. He'll put you away all day. But very pleased for Martin Guptill. And what a time to do it, really. When the pressure's on, you know you're under a little bit of pressure to keep your spot. And then he comes out and delivers that. Works hard on his game. Thoroughly deserves it. Very pleased for him. But he'll be desperately keen to not only score 100, but score a big 100.
Well, we know he can do it in one-day cricket. We know when he's in, he stays in. So, yes, that is the next goal, and the bloke at the other end won't give it away either. So, more problems for Sri Lanka now. as New Zealand ease their way to 213 for 1. So, you talk about replacing players. Man, these 24,000 test runs you've got to replace, and it's not easy. I mean, you just do not do that overnight. You've got to do that over a long period of time to replace the great, and I mean the great Sangakkara and the great J.L. Wardner, who incidentally has been in the country playing a little bit of T20 cricket. Nice bowling. The only player on that list still in the side or close to it, of course, is Angelo Matthews. So there's a lot of work to do to catch up.
Just working off their averages, you've got to find another 110 runs per innings. It's a big ask.
It's a nice sweep shot. Couple more for Kane Williamson, who's into the mid-80s now. Yeah, I mean, they're just fantastic, those two players, and they're sorely missed, not just by Sri Lanka, but by world cricket fans, because the way they accumulated and established those records was so easy on the eye. Really was fantastic. Williamson keeps the strike. 221 for 1. There it is. No! New record for New Zealand for the second wicket all time against Sri Lanka. It now belongs to Williamson and to Guptill.
There it goes, second, 173, just surpassed Richardson and Fleming in Colombo some 15 years ago.
Big partnerships there, isn't there? Sitting around for a while, we'll see the next one go. 467. No! And looking further down that list is some pretty hard work and some hot places. Stephen Fleming and Craig McMillan, 240. He'll keep an eye on that. Mackie doesn't like losing records. And 365, Williamson and Watling at Wellington.
That's the partnership that changed the game. New Zealand were behind, and then Williamson, together with Watling, not only wiped out the deficit, but put them in a commanding position.
Not out as well. That's going to be a tough ask to beat that. 365, that's a lot of runs.
He keeps battling on. Nuwan Pradeep. The only issue is, after seeing so much grass on the pitch, just not being able to get that ball to move around as much as they would have liked.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those unanswerable questions whether New Zealand would have been able to get more out of it. The surface, I kind of suspect, being very good swing bowlers, they might have got a bit more movement in the air. Edge and gone. What a good catch that is. And just on the brink of tee, Williamson succumbs. Terrific breakthrough and very timely for Sri Lanka.
You're well held. You've been standing in the slips on your own. All the others have disappeared. And it's easy to switch off, and that was flying. He's played that shot very well throughout his innings. A lot of runs towards third man, but a bit of extra bounce doing the trick. Williamson played very well for his 88. New Zealand take tea at 229 for 2. The partnership is broken for 173. Guptill still there though, making his third Test 100 earlier today. 111 to him, and Williamson just dismissed for 88. So the wicket takers for the Sri Lankans are the two opening bowlers. Suranga Lakmal picked up a wicket in the first session, and just now Nuwan Pradeep. Chamira bowled quickly still did not create enough problems for the New Zealand batsman. But now it's Pradeep to the new man, Ross Taylor. He'll be feeling good about himself, especially after his efforts in Australia.
Yeah, well, what a great time to walk out to the middle. 229 for 2. Your partner and good friend, Martin Guptill, on 100, not out. That finishes the over. 229 for 2.
25 overs to the new ball, just a chance to get himself in.
Yeah, come back.
Wonderful shot from Guptill through the gap. No chance. 2 men catching. He's pierced the gap beautifully. A deep cover along off, and he just hit it with too much power. Wonderful shot.
There's much of a gap there at all. 2 men catching it on the offside. There's a long off and a deep point, so that precision of his batsmanship.
He was quick to get on the back foot. Herat slow through the air, both deliveries so far.
Oh, Ranga out, boy.
Around 79 Ks and 78 Ks. And it's ready early. And rocked back on and powered it through. Edge. Along the ground. Down to the boundary. So Taylor, he's on his way.
Always nice to get off the mark. Not that it was in convincing fashion, but you take them. He was in pretty good control. Reasonably soft hands, just pushed through a little bit.
All 3 of us know how good it is to get off the mark, and especially early in your innings. And Kane Williamson hit a boundary off his first delivery, one down the leg side. And now Ross Taylor as well, his second delivery.
Edge. But safely over the wicketkeeper's head.
Well, I asked the question a little earlier about whether Ross Taylor would take his time or be aggressive, and he's played a lot of shots already. So I think we have our answer. This is not one of his main scoring zones, especially early in his innings. And a little bit of luck over the keeper.
It was a pretty good bouncer, a good height and good line, and it cramped Taylor for room.
That came back in. Kettleborough's finger goes right up. His foot was across the stumps. Well bowled by Nuwan Pradeep.
It looks as though Taylor knows, doesn't even go to Guptill to ask if it's worth reviewing. I think he knows he got too far across, looking to hit across the line. Left behind here, but it looked pretty straight. No problem with the front foot. Good bowling, got a good bounce earlier in the over. Taylor just shuffling across. Is hitting leg side-ish, but definitely think it'd be hitting the stumps. So if he did review it, I think he'd be still on his way back to the pavilion.
That's jagged a long way, hasn't it? There's still a bit in this pitch. The ball before came back on him. Ross Taylor walking back. He'll be disappointed. Out for 8. Sri Lanka, are they back in this match? 245 for 3.
Brendan McCullum, of course, destroyed Sri Lanka out here. The Test series last time. But his last 10 innings,
Oh, that's good ball, Rangi.
it's not scored a lot of runs. Punched, was in there, but no chance for Pradeep. It was hit hard.
Yeah, it was a pretty dominating shot, just to show that even though you put a deep square leg back, I'm happy to keep coming forward. Punch through the, almost a chance for the bowler, but he struck it pretty well. That'll make him feel a little bit better.
There's an element of the Tom Latham dismissal in this one. Brendan McCullum trying to hold it up, wasn't he, his shot? And yes, it was a punch, but it just sat in the wicket a little bit. Pradeep gave it his best, tried to get down low, but he hit it too well.
The short one. Into the crowd. On the bounce. But how well did he pick the gap in the deep?
Yeah, he hit like a rocket, but I don't think the Sri Lankans will be too disappointed with that. 2 guys back. and he has hit it superbly. And he's controlled it and kept it down, and it didn't give the fielders any chance, but they'll be delighted that he's going to take them on. They'll feel as though it's an opportunity.
Again in the air. And 4 more.
Just what Sri Lanka don't want, and that's Brendan McCullum getting into 5th gear. 3 boundaries in a row. He's starting to go through those gears. He's on his way, isn't he? 15 off just 14 deliveries.
Yeah, you've got to be very careful. They'll feel as though there was an element there that there was half a chance.
He's a heavy bat. I always thought he used quite light cricket bats.
You want to have a look at this, Rick? You want to get a hold of this bat tomorrow morning and just say, can I have a look at it and do a piece on it? Because I don't mind telling you that the edges are very thick, and there's one of them.
Well, thick edges are good for an up and under cut. Banged in, and yeah, this is typical McCullum, isn't it? Going after it, throw the hands. It was way too close to really play that safely. He got enough of those big edges on it, clearly. Quite safe.
Oh, gosh, that's gone high. Can he get back and get it? I don't think so. Oh, he's in a mood, Brendan McCullum. Look out, because that is not quite orthodox.
No, reckless here. He's tried to pick up the length, and it wasn't that full to go straight over the bowler's head. Opened the hips. He was very counter-punching when he played Sri Lanka in the Boxing Day Test, 194. It's obviously in the same mood this afternoon.
Well, I think an enterprising, aggressive innings here from McCullum is just what's required for the game.
Oh, boy, this is going to be entertaining. And it might not last long either way. 275 for 3. A boundary there to McCullum. And they feel good about it. I think you kind of like Brendan McCullum in this situation where you've got that start that the openers have given you. And he's got a free licence, really, just to go and mow, and that's what he's doing. And what he's trying to do here is advance the game at such a rate that buys him so much time at the end if there's average weather or whatever. And he's been caught out here in the past, to be fair. He wants to buy time. Hit that. Hit that. Goodness me, poor Chamira will look at that and say, was that bad a ball? I thought it was kind of line and length. Oh.
I agree. He's into his 11th over, and he's probably bowled 60% of his balls on that length. Maybe just slightly short, but not really McCullum. You wonder if there's premeditation in that. It's the first boundary. The cut shot flew past gully. That's just back of a length.
The only other bloke who used to pull balls that length was Aravinda de Silva.
Sparrow just flown in the commentary box. 288 for 3.
Where we are sitting is where Brendan McCullum may aim this over. He likes to use his feet. He wants to get down. I'm not going to be worried about mid-on and mid-off being back.
The top of that shot there, eh? And those dark windows, that's us. Let's push forward there, and I think Nigel Long will give Brendan McCullum out on a marginal one for a while.
That's close.
It's worth some interest there because this has hit the pad first. He's just pushed the pad out there on a line. It's hit him in front of about middle and off.
Bottom of the bat. Jars the hands, those sorts of things, and it was a good delivery from Chamira. Attempted Yorker, which was in the end a low full toss, and oh Gosh almighty. Gosh, that's big. Way over the top of cover. An amazing cricket shot in any form of the game.
If you've hung in here today, through the first two sessions where you've seen some expert batting from Williamson, you're going to be treated to something, I think, in the afternoon. In the final session, he's in the mood. Often with McCullum, only takes it, the odd one out of the middle, the odd shot like this that comes off for him, and he just thinks right into it. He's on 41 now already. 41 from 36. Partnership, 50.
What now, Chamira? What now is 4 more, this time a lot more orthodox. And again, not that bad a ball.
I think this shot shows how good a pitch, well, batting pitch it is. Brendan McCullum just hitting it on the up, straightens that front knee. Those fast hands. Talk about the partnership. Do we remember that guy at the other end? Martin Guptill. 128 he's on. He's probably enjoying this, actually. Takes a little bit of pressure off him, but Brendan McCullum. It's fast hands. 6 and 4 consecutive deliveries.
So deep cover goes in, deep backward point. All sorts of protection on the offside for a bowler that is under severe pressure. Down the ground for 4. Gorgeous shot that from Brendan McCullum, and 300 up for New Zealand, just the 69th over.
If you're going to try something, you know he's going to go after you here. I'd suggest that the half volley's not the option. You're going to be full and straight. It needs to be fuller than that. It needs to be the Yorker length. It's too easy for him right now. Say he brings out, he names his cricket bats after horses. He's brought out a sprinter here.
Yeah, it's important to Brendan McCullum that you do not over-pitch. While he's hit some lovely shots through the covers, you still want to be that back of a length because it's the best chance of getting him out. Question is, will he follow up with a bouncer? Because I'd say McCullum will be waiting.
He'll get a single here, and that's 50 for Brendan McCullum in lightning quick time. Well, if you've paid your money, you're getting it back in spades here. 304 for 3. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, he did well there, Brendan McCullum, because I think he would have been looking for the short one as well. And then he was in a good position just to push it down the ground. So good strength of the mind there. And a handy innings.
There it is. That's a very good cricket shot because they've got 2 catches. One at the shortish mid on and one at the shortish mid wicket, and he is absolutely threaded the needle. Clever batting.
Yeah, purposely worked it square as well. It was initially, I think he was coming down the wicket to hit it high and straight. And then in the last minute, he's just flicked it and flicked it wide. And if he just could get it over the heads of those 2 fielders in there, then long on had no chance.
Oh, man, where's this gone? This is over the top as well, is it? No, just one bounce, another boundary. And that was a really interesting shot there. It looked for all money if he hit it straight up in the air.
It's good use of the bottom hand to get it wide of long on. Because there's so much, if he doesn't get it that well, there's so much space open there on the onside. You can see he's used that bottom hand to deliberately get it square, so long on doesn't have a chance. If he doesn't get it brilliantly, the 2 men are up too close. There's open spaces for it to fall. So because of that, they've changed the field. And they'll put a cow corner out now, Craig.
Leg by. And bad news for Sri Lanka is that McCullum gets the strike back. 313 for 3.
Just short of the fielder. Tossed up slower, and Martin Guptill looking to push it into that gap, the vacant gap in that mid-on area.
Yeah, just going across the line, wasn't he? You can sort of understand it because there hasn't been any turn all day, but that one just held, just sat in the wicket and held.
Flat hit. Fielder at mid-off. Can't get to it. Lots of shouts of catch it.
Well, Russell Arnold, you said that he's been streaky. And I'll give you this one. That's an example of it. Mid-off did his very best to get round. Full-length dive and just always looked like with the ball tailing away, he was going to be a metre or two short.
Dimuth Karunaratne, who just took a blow to his knee, having to do all the hard work in the deep.
Worst feeling for a bowler. You think you've got a wicket and all of a sudden it not only get a wicket, but it goes for 4 and McCullum gets a full toss and smashes it square of the wicket. So just as we talked about, he's going to be super aggressive with anything loose. And back-to-back boundaries.
He's not going to miss-hit those. But he could have caught it, Nigel Long. Standing at square leg, did well to get out of the way. Miss hit, but just over mid-on. I beg your pardon, short mid-wicket. Finds the boundary again. So powerful, Brendan McCullum.
Yeah, that's the key. He's got such a good bat speed, even if he mis-hits it like he did then. Bit the man in the circle at mid-wicket. Still enough power to beat the man on the boundary. You can see he hasn't hit that very well at all. But just such a fast swing of the bat. Just gives the ball enough power.
And that's what works in his favour too. He knows if he mid-hits, he'll still clear the field or create enough power. Top edge, straight to the fielder. So Milinda Sirivardhana has done it again.
You called it, Rusty. You said he has a knack for picking up wickets. And what looked like a gentle leg side half volley ends up getting the big wicket of Brendan McCullum at top edge. And he couldn't have picked out deep backward square any better. Safe and comfortable catch. He says that came off the toe. But terrific innings from McCullum. 75 off just 57 balls. It's 334 for 4.
Mitchell Santner. Relief for the Sri Lankans. They've seen the back of Brendan McCullum in his second test match, Santner. Off the mark straight away. Herat Willis caught that to the boundary.
It's going to set some big shoes to fill following Brendan McCullum's innings, but what a great start. Santner just back of a length, just rock back, easy as you like. Eased it through the cover side, and cover boundary for 4. Great start. It will give him lots of confidence.
Yeah, length on offer. Did well to get onto that back foot quickly.
Oh, Millie.
Yeah, just to answer your question, Scotty, if I had Jayasuriya and Sirivardhana in my team, I'll be tossing the ball to Jayasuriya first. But it can change if this continues. He's only playing his 4th test match, Milinda Sirivardhana.
Oh!
And he's improved with every game with his bowling. 338 for 4. Latham and Taylor, they'd be disappointed. Because when you see batsmen all around you score runs, it will hurt you.
This will be the first look for most domestic New Zealand fans who didn't see Mitchell Santner in the Adelaide Test, which was his debut. Very talented young man. And confident as well. Has that gone all the way? What a shot that was. In any case, using his feet down the wicket to the pitch of the ball and just hitting through the line.
Intentionally played. There's a long on out, but mid-off is up, saving the one. All you can say is, wow. Well, make that 2 boundaries since getting to 100.
Yeah, it was a difficult bounce for the fielder, but he probably should have done better. Should have got something behind that. And it's not what you need as a bowler, as you've been toiling hard. You need the fielders to back you up. And unfortunately, there's a very good angle. You'll see that Yep. Bit of a bad bounce, but should have done a lot better.
50 runs for the Black Caps.
350 for the Kiwis. Nicely controlled. Rolled his wrists over to get it away from square leg.
Those boundaries are flying off Guptill's bat now, Russell, after you said he hadn't scored for so many. All of a sudden, a couple and 2 overs.
New ball just 2 overs away, as you say. An edge, and Santner's gone. Just a little nick. And Chimera picks up a really overdue reward. He's bowled with a lot of heart today, and he outdoes Mitchell Santner.
And what a good time too. That is, look at that, just moved away a little bit. Perfect line and length. Had to play at it because it's pitched and seamed, and a little bit of the angle across the left-hander. He's taken the outside edge. Regulation outside edge. Santner goes for 12, 359 for 5.
BJ Watling makes his way out to the middle, takes guard, averaging 38.305 test match hundreds to his name. But due, I think it's fair to say, he needs to score. Not for his place in the side, but for his own feelings, I would imagine. He's a hard worker. Just didn't quite cash in Australia after 2 or 3 starts. This has been lion-hearted stuff from Chimera today. He's had some fair old contests, but he won this one.
He did, just nice angle. It was the perfect length, kept Santner on the crease. Really went nowhere. The angle to the left-hander just got the outside edge. Just reward. May have just nipped away, as Mark Richardson said, off the pitch. Santner will be disappointed.
Oh, third slip would have swallowed that. So Watling has a little bit of luck early on.
Good line. Very, very good line. First ball was down the right line, and you might let the first one go, but if you can just keep hammering the ball on a good length just outside off stump, new batsman will have a fiddle at the old one.
Richard Kettleborough has just signalled to the batsman that the new ball will be taken and the official scorers, so right away, and it will be Chimera who has the honour to take it. Oh, yes! They've got him all right. The new ball has come up trumps right from the outset, and that's a good sprawling catch.
Well done. Great reward here. Really good reward for giving the new ball to Chimera, who's bowled very well throughout the day. He's got it on a difficult length. Watling's tried to be aggressive. Just wasn't wide enough for him to play that shot, and he knows it. Ballooned off the bat. And that's a disappointing innings. Gone for 5, 365 for 6.
It's all happening now, and Doug Bracewell has come out to the crease at the fall of BJ Watling's wicket, and New Zealand have lost 2 or 3 in a bit of a hurry here. They were humming along, really, and I mean humming along at 334 for 3 at one point, and they've lost 3 for 29. How's that for a shot? Doug Bracewell on the up. Glorious off drive.
Well, he can bat, can't he, Doug Bracewell? He's very much... He's got the opportunity now. He's back in the New Zealand side to prove that he's a genuine all-rounder, not just a bowler who bats okay or bats pretty well. That's... you just got to keep bowling that delivery, though, don't you? That's... some might actually cut that, but he's driven it.
Well, there was bat involved. When was the bat involved? And that's what the bowler's going to ask his captain, who's at mid-off. If it's pad first, if it is pad first, this is a genuine inquiry. A genuine inquiry.
There was a thud before the crisper noise of the ball hitting the bat. Now, they are going to review it. Now, is it the bat hitting the pad and then the ball, or is it the ball hitting the pad and then the bat?
Well, if this is hit pad first, I think it's pretty adjacent.
I think he hit his pad with his bat. My first thought, it actually hit the middle of the bat, well, hit the bat, but his pad and bat hit each other.
Just slow that down, rock and roll it, please.
I don't know. This is hard.
It's at the edge. Look, he's turned the face
just
of the
try
bat.
a hot spot there, but that looks like it's come straight off the bat. Straight off the bat.
We'll just try a hot spot. It's ducked left just before hitting the bat.
We're not even supposed to be talking.
Oh, yeah. That's at the edge of the bat.
Thank you. Oh, I'll go back to Nigel on ground. Thanks, Gavin.
So he's hit his pad, isn't he, with the bat? And that's what twisted the bat and then presented the edge to the ball.
That's terrific pull shot. Class.
Very annoying for an opening bowler when the so-called tail enders treat you like that. A little bit high, harder to control, but he controlled it. Controlled it magnificently.
I put this up there as one of the shots of the day. Really was. Straight arms, lovely swivel away.
Old-fashioned hook, isn't it?
Oh, and that's gone over the top. I think there was something on that too, was there? Yep, there was a bit of bat, bit of glove maybe. So it was a good ploy from the bowler. The double trick.
That not such a good old-fashioned hook. Good thinking too. Bang it in again. Weight was back. It was late on it as well. All right, so what will they follow it up with here? They put a man back on the hook shot. Will Doug Brace will be able to put it away? Will he have that degree of control?
It's going through his mind, you reckon? Bouncer, bouncer, bouncer. Sneeze onto the front foot and hit him square of the wicket. No problem at all. 11 off that over, 386 for 6.
Firstly McCullum, then Santner, and then lastly Watling has brought them right back into it, Russell Arnold.
Yeah, been impressed with the effort. Edge. Away from the fielder and 150 for Guptill.
It's been a magnificent innings. 153 off 230 balls. There's been some magnificent boundaries, cover drives, cut shots, 21 fours, and here's Harry brought it up. Bit of an outside edge. Ran away for 4.
Edge. Finally gets him. Martin Guptill goes. What an outstanding knock it has been.
It's been a brilliant innings from Guptill. But Matthews was one bowler that in the 6 overs earlier today, he did cause some trouble for the New Zealanders. And we wondered when he was going to come back, and here he is in great areas again, just a little bit of shape away. And a feather through to the keeper. And Sri Lanka will be delighted to see the end of Guptill. It's been a magnificent innings. 156. And New Zealand now 394 for 7.
Tim Southee can bat, more often tends to disappoint.
Well, one thing you can be for sure, with the spinner on, he will be positive.
Edge taken. Southee goes.
I was going to ask you why he didn't take the new ball this time around with the second new ball at least, because he did open up pretty well. But he has been introduced, and it's been a good decision. Angelo Matthews, comfortable catch at second slip. They don't get much better than that. Tim Southee, just the 2 deliveries. And New Zealand now 8 down. 399 for 8. Southee's out for 2.
Neil Wagner. 17 matches.
There's a big bullseye on that front pad of Doug Bracewell. But 400 up. And the New Zealanders will be, I was going to say over the moon, but it's quite happy applause.
And probably to beat Bracewell and hit him on the pads, you need a bit more pace. I think that's what's working against Angelo Matthews. Oh, lovely shot. Using the pace, Doug Bracewell.
He loves the ball coming on. He's a very dangerous player. All of a sudden, look at the scoreboard. He's got 27 from 35 balls. He's played some great shots. There again, just let the ball come onto the bat. Placed it beautifully.
That's a Kane Williamson shot.
I was going to say there was a little bit of Williamson in that shot.
Square leg goes out. Just to let Bracewell know that the short ball might be coming. But he pitches it up. 4 more. Lacking in footwork though, but it works for Bracewell this time.
Good delivery from Luckmar. Got Bracewell on the walk. I think they're putting that square leg out. Just had him in two minds.
I've got a feeling though if he does get a short one, he might, even with the deep square who's gone back and you've got the deep fine leg, that Bracewell still might look to take him on.
Last ball of the day. Bracewell ends the day on 31 and New Zealand 409 for 8.
Impressive, weren't they? Kane Williamson, 88, Brendan McCullum, 75, but it's all down to Martin Guptill. And when you consider they lost the toss, New Zealand, Brendan McCullum losing another toss and having to walk out to bat on what looked a green surface, for him to finish the 90 overs at 409 for 8 was an impressive effort.
A lot happening in that session. 6 wickets for 180 runs and the run rate 5.13, all down to Brendan McCullum. Guptill 156. Tom Latham 22. Got off to a start. Williamson looked very good for his 88.
Yeah, but it was Brendan McCullum who turned it after that wicket of Taylor, where they had lost Williamson and lost Taylor. It was McCullum who came out and was aggressive as you'd expect, and he, along with Guptill, put on a partnership of 89.
The Sri Lankan bowlers lost the early initiative. The first session was poor, but since then they've been pretty impressive. Pradeep picked up 2 wickets, Lakmal a couple, but Chamira, he excites me. A couple for him too. Yet tomorrow, game starts at 10 AM for day 2 here at the Dunedin University Oval.
This has been a presentation of Fox Sports.